I enjoy Burn Notice. It's still a ton of fun. There's no other TV spy that I'd trust my life with of Mr. Weston. The trio's chemistry is infectious, and their specific dynamic provides a ton of great little moments. There's a lot of escapist fun to be had watching thuggish bad guys get what's coming to them. The action is clever and unique, the spy tips are always insightful, and there's a ton of wonderful eye candy abound at all times.
Welcome to the Cinema Gold Podcast with your host, Larry Leese. Come join us as Cinema Gold dives into the latest Hollywood films and news.
Hello and welcome to the Cinema Gold Show. I'm your host, Larry Leese. Today, we're continuing our series, Getting Burned, a review of Burn Notice. This week, we cover Season 2 of Burn Notice, available on Amazon Prime. First, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. Check out poddex.com and use promo code CinemaGold for 10% off your first purchase. Heading out of Burn Notice Season 1, we saw Michael pulling his car into the back carriage of a 16-wheeler. The scene was reminiscent of the 80s Knight Rider series and even the 80s Spy Hunter arcade game. Our hero entering the darkness to find out the truth, to find answers. He was going to meet the shadowy figure that falsely burned him from the spy game. He was taking a final step toward getting his old life back, his life of solitude and international intrigue. But who he met was, well, another woman in his life to make him miserable, or at the very least uncomfortable. But this time, Carla, played by Tricia Helfer, wasn't after Michael to open up about his feelings like his mom or his ex-girlfriend. No, Carla wanted Michael to just do what he does best, Black Ops, for her. And it wound up turning Michael completely sour. In Season 1, we could understand why, growing up, Michael would have wanted to leave his home, and why he might have wanted to find an outlet for his aggression. But we never really got a patriotic vibe off of him. The fact that he's not doing the dirty dealings for the US of A really grates on him, so much so that he finds Carla's work to be rotten and evil. On a show that deals with characters involved in amoral activities on a regular basis, Michael has drawn a bizarre distinction between which masters he'll gladly serve. Fiona runs guns, for crying out loud. How many innocent lives has she indirectly ruined? How many little kids have died due to her product? I don't mean to be heavy-handed here, but Michael seems only to not like being told what to do. He still resents being burned, and his resentment won't let him accept any new Black Ops jobs that might have ulterior motives. While his new Robin Hood-type escapades with Fee and Sam might have softened his worldview a bit, there's still never a tremendous explanation as to why Michael desperately wants to go back to being a spy for America and not, say, make millions working for Carla's organization. We never really found out who Carla was attempting to assassinate with that sniper rifle, so we don't really know what she was up to. Not for sure. The show never answered that. A lot of problems with the Carla story came from the character of Carla herself, who isn't actually portrayed as heartless and cruel until, well, the season finale. Other than that, Carla came off as a non-threat. She was always saying that she'd do something to Michael, but she never really did all that much. She was akin to all the government bureau boys that came down and tried to strong-arm Michael during Season 1. I am a huge fan of Tricia Helfer on Battlestar, so I'm a bit disappointed that she didn't get a better villain makeover here. Basically, Carla was a top-level agent in a secret Black Ops organization, separate from our own government, that uses our own government officials to burn agents they see the most talented in order to recruit them through threats to their family. It's a bit thin. Halfway through Season 2, Michael's focus turns to trying to help Carla find the traitor in their midst of traitors, and it feels like a backward step. Michael and Fiona's relationship almost takes on a duplicate charting to the progression it took in Season 1. The courting, the frustration, the one-night stand, the reconciliation without true commitment. It was a bit stale. At least they ended things with a rooted sexual foundation between them. But I'm just going to come out and say they need to be a full couple. When they're not a couple, Fiona has very little to do on the show except provide cover fire. In order to bring her into the fold, she and Michael need to be a solid item. Oh, and they need to figure out something for Madeline to do besides smoke in her kitchen. I've been saying a lot about all this stuff that didn't really work for me, but let me just make this notion clear. I enjoy Burn Notice. It's still a ton of fun, and there's no other TV spy that I'd trust my life with above Mr. Weston. The trio's chemistry is infectious, and their specific dynamic provides a ton of great little moments. There's also a lot of escapist fun to be had watching the thuggish bad guys get what's coming to them. The action is clever and unique, the spy tips are always insightful, and there's a ton of wonderful eye candy abound at all times. Standout episodes include Double Booked, Bad Breaks, Rough Seas, and Do No Harm. When the show wants to, it can pack quite a punch. Michael tears as he mercy kills a character in Lesser Evil. His panic when he thinks that Fiona burned to death in Hotspot, Madeline and Sam fending off Carla's goons, and the explosion that follows in Lesser Evil. And of course, Sam turning down the prospect of hooking up with a wealthy beer fortune heiress in order to save Michael from a bank robber in Bad Breaks. The second half of season 2 did a great job of bringing back old favorites. While not as engaging as the first half of the season, it definitely brought back Agent Bly and Victor. Yes, Victor was still from earlier on in season 2, but the gap between the episode's original release made it feel longer. The show loves its stock characters. The fidgety gunrunner Seymour got to appear twice this season. Madeline's beau, Virgil, got to have a bit of an encore as well. And let's hope that Tim Matheson's Larry and Jay Carnes Brennan make a quick return. Both of them make great adversaries and definitely broke the cycle of underwhelming small-time crook getting their entire operation destroyed stories. My hope going forward into the next season is that creator Matt Nix will feel like mixing things up a bit. Michael is no longer in servitude to Carla's gang, but he is still burned. The series, I find, is more successful now than it's ever been, so I hope they don't take that as freedom to pull another next verse same as the first. Season 2 was enjoyable and hit all the right major notes, but it still had a slight carbon copy skin to it that I hope they can shed. And that's all we have for this episode of the Cinema Gold Show. Let us know your thoughts on this season of Burn Notice. Did you like it? Are you a fan of the show? Let us know by sending us a tweet at Cinema Gold Show. Also, if you like this episode, subscribe to our podcast on all major podcast platforms. And be sure to subscribe and like us on YouTube. Just search Cinema Gold Show.
Thanks for watching Cinema Gold Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Cinema Gold 2. Become a patron on our Patreon at patreon.com/cinemagold. Send us a voice message and be featured on an upcoming episode through anchor.fm/cinemagold.